Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the new moon slash supermoon in Gemini, which will occur on June 13th, 2018. And when you have a supermoon in astrology, it can be like a regular new moon, but it could bring about a more monumental change, very prodigious change that may have a more sustained impact as opposed to a regular new moon. Now, the energy is like that of a new moon, but intensified. Now, the moon is closer proximity to the Earth as opposed to the regular new moon. Now, when you're talking about new moons in astrology, I mean, they could be bring about very extemporaneous and spontaneous energy. It could often signify a new beginning, and which one may embark on a new project or endeavor. And whatever may be holding you back at this time, you may have a much better chance of eradicating. And also it could be about also discarding what may be frivolous or superfluous, the things that might be holding you or limiting you from getting your whatever task at hand needs to be done and attained. Now, the energy from the supermoon, I mean, can be exceptionally revitalizing and rejuvenating. And at this time, you may exhibit a very strong surfite and abundance of energy. Now, it's also important, though, to look at contraindicators in terms of your chart, your transits, or what have you. I mean, if you have, like, let's say, for example, if you have transit Mars in the 12th at the time of the supermoon, or another example could be transit Neptune making an adverse aspect to your natal sun, your Mars, or ascendant, your energy may be a little bit more depleted, maybe a little bit more lethargic. It might be a little harder to capitalize on this new moon energy. But going back to the new moon slash supermoon, it could really bring about much enterprise and initiative at this time, and less likely to have procrastination and hesitation. Now, and if there was something you had been procrastinating on, you may very well get it started at this time and might put a halt and curtail that procrastination. Now, everyone may be collectively impacted by the supermoon, but especially people with the sun, moon, or ascendant in Gemini or Cancer. And Gemini, of course, because the new moon slash supermoon will be in its sign. And then Cancer, of course, because Cancer can simply be impacted strongly by transits and phases of the moon, given that the moon does rule Cancer. And of course, this could be very strongly attributed to why Cancer can be so changeable, moody, and temperamental. Now, the new moon, supermoon in Gemini can be very auspicious for starting a new writing or communication project. It could be about beginning something connected with dexterity. It could be about really starting something where you're more multifaceted, being more inquisitive, versatile. It could be about job diversification, being more loquacious and amiable. And it could be the beginning for many of something that could be Gemini related. It could be starting something, again, tied in with communications or writing, something connected with dexterity, such as auto or refrigeration mechanics, communications work such as satellite or data communications, telecommunications, doing something with public relations, even being a car salesman, something that involves a lot of fast talking, and even a newscaster, reporter, journalist, a new position as a mail carrier. And this especially could be, I mean, there could be really the chances of an increase of this, of course, if it falls in one of the what I call the work or money houses, like this, which I'm talking about, the 2nd, 6th, or the 10th house in your chart. Now, let's say this could also be, I mean, looking at this, well, you have the new moon in Gemini again on June 13th. This could be, and you're going to have the full moon in Cap near the end of the month. So because of this could start a period with this new moon in Gemini, or for example, a new period for some, perhaps multitasking, showing versatility, may culminate with the full moon in Capricorn into a position of authority, such as, for example, impressing your boss, your supervisor, people that are above you, with ability to diversify and multitask. And in doing so, can maybe increase your chances of being promoted and perhaps getting a position of authority if that is possible where you are at. So that is just one example. Now, it's important to look at the house this falls in your natal chart, as this, of course, could impact the delineation. Now, mine is going to fall in my second house. Perhaps I'll have a new diversified stock portfolio. I'm only kidding, but hey, that is possible, I guess, with this. But it could be a favorable time for me, perhaps, to embark on some writing, communication project where maybe I can benefit monetarily from. And also, it's important to look at the degree that this is in. I mean, it's going to be at the 22nd degree, this new moon, supermoon in Gemini. And based on Sabian symbols, this could indicate perhaps over-talking. Garrulousness may lead to perhaps in some cases dissemination of info that may be to the detriment of the person, and it may be really about might bring about superficial friends that are just nice to get money or something out of you and just use you. So it's really being very careful not to let this over talkative Gemini energy work to your detriment. And if you're in a situation, say, where you're coming into some money or you're getting some benefits or materially or what have you, it might be in your best interest to really keep that under wraps, so to speak, and be careful who you're going to disseminate this information to, because if it falls into the hands of the wrong person, they might try to get friendly with you and try to use it to their advantage. So anyway, now also going back to this, it's also important to look at the aspects this makes to natal points in your chart, as this could impact the interpretation as well. Now, mine is going to be in fairly close proximity to my part of fortune in Gemini, and it's also going to be making a long trine to my Jupiter in Libra in the 6th house. So the fact that it's going to be close to my part of fortune suggests it could be very fortuitous monetarily for me, and it might be involving something communications related or something that involves some kind of diversity and variety. And the fact that it involves certain eloquence and communication ability. Now, the long trine it's going to make to my Jupiter in Libra in the 6th may indicate a new period, perhaps of loquaciousness, and that maybe it may help expand relationships in my daily routine. It might increase maybe people coming into my life and maybe being more socially accepted by certain people. And so anyway, and maybe becoming a little bit more popular in the process. Now, the thing about this too, looking at this, it's also important to look at the transits on this day, as this could intensify and amplify. It could be amplified, intensified due to the new moon, supermoon energy. Now, interestingly, on this day, Mercury in Cancer will be in mutual reception to the moon in Gemini. And when a mutual reception occurs, many of you may know this, but for those that don't, basically what that is when you have the planets connected with each other's rulers. So, but when you have a mutual reception, these energies can often work very auspiciously and favorably together, and this can give very strong. Given that you're having the mutual reception with the moon in Gemini and Mercury in Cancer, this could give a very strong emotional need perhaps to convey information and to do so in a quick extemporaneous manner, though it might be a little bit emotional, but it still has a good chance of coming across very well and favorably, given that it is a mutual reception. Now, interestingly enough, I have this natally actually, as I have the moon in Gemini and Mercury in Cancer in my natal chart. Also, too, it's really, this could be, looking at this as well, it's also significant to look at other electional aspects on this day, as this could be intensified by the supermoon. Now, Uranus in Taurus is going to make a close sextile to Mercury in Cancer on this day. Now, collectively, I mean, for many, this could give very shrewd, innovative thinking and exceptional positive blending, perhaps with the formulation of new monetary ideas. Blending perhaps thinking connected with the home and ability, of course, to perhaps really strongly retain these ideas, because Mercury and Cancer energy, of course, is very retentive. Now, it could be about maybe new, for example, a new ingenious home alarm system could be one example. Also, too, you're looking at this could also be, I mean, for me, I think what's interesting about this now, I'm going to have, I mean, this is actually on this day, I'm going to have, I mean, the transit Uranus will be making a sextile to my natal Mercury in Cancer, and of course the transits that are going to hit your to points in your own natal chart can be more emphasized and accentuated due to this new moon supermoon in Gemini. And in fact, I'm going to have the natal, I'm going to have transit Uranus in Taurus make a sextile to my natal Mercury in Cancer. Well, I mean, this could be, I've thought about this and contemplated about this for a while, and of course Mercury in Cancer is very contemplative energy. I've thought about writing some book one time regarding my experiences with the rising signs or ascendants with people I knew personally that had the various ascendants, of course, talking about the experiences with all 12 rising signs. So, and the way I'm looking at that, this is kind of like, this could be the result perhaps of either this Uranus and Taurus formulation of new ideas to generate some money, coupled with thinking that Mercury in Cancer, thinking of something, things that are connected with the past, and perhaps doing some writing associated with it. So it's could be a very good blending for me on this at this particular time. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about, I thought was interesting with this, is that, okay, I've talked before about how, I mean, the transits from this as far as the supermoon, new moon in Gemini, transits to points in your to points in your chart from the planets. What I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say is that if you're going to when I look at this, I mean, transits from planets to points in your natal chart at this time of the new moon supermoon Gemini will be emphasized and accentuated, given that it is the day, it is the time you're having the new moon supermoon in Gemini. And at this time, I'm actually going to have transit Mercury in Cancer is going to make almost an exact conjunction to my natal Mercury in Cancer, and this will be emphasized and accentuated because it is at the time of the new moon / supermoon. That is what I'm trying to say. Now, the thing about this is it will make that almost, as I stated before, the transit Mercury will be almost exactly conjunct my natal Mercury in Cancer. So this could perhaps give some increased mobility connected with places close to home, and greater comprehension perhaps in what is criticism and ridicule, and when one may be joking. I mean, because of course Mercury in Cancer can be very sensitive energy, but be able to strongly extemporize in speech and articulate very well in the process about things maybe connected with the past. And also too, when I look at this, is that I don't have any Cancer. I mean, Mercury, as I've talked about before in other videos, Mercury can be connected with siblings. It can be cousins and can be neighbors. But since I don't have any brothers or sisters, I wonder if I might, maybe be connected again, maybe with a Cancerian cousin. Because what's interesting is the two cousins I have, one has a Cancer ascendant and the other has a Cancer sun. So I'm wondering if maybe there'll be some communication with them, and that might impact my thinking. And of course, this could be very emphasized and accentuated because this will fall at the same time as the new moon and supermoon, new moon slash supermoon in Gemini on this day on June 13, 2018. And also, really, that's, well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my take on the June 13th, 2018 new moon, supermoon in Gemini. Stay tuned next time where I'm going to be talking about Sagittarius archetypes. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Till next time, people, stay well.